You will see a bit more of Darcy Moore throughout this video. He had a tough game. And when I mean tough, he had an awful game. Hello and welcome back to the I Just Love Footy YouTube channel. Today we're going to do a video analysis on the St Kilda vs Collingwood game from Thursday night. Collingwood obviously going down. So let's get straight into it. The first contest of the game, we see a free kick from Rowan Marshall. And then we got three blokes jumping up for the ball for Collingwood, leaving out Jack Higgins, who ended up kicking 4 goals for the game and had a lot of goals out the back. And that's sort of, one of his keystones from his game, to be able to read the ball going out over the back and staying down rather than going up in the contest. So when we look from this end, we can see here, we can actually see Jeremy Howe got his eyes on the footy and he's ready to sort of come across the pack and have an impact in the air. The problem is, Darcy Moore's looking to do the same thing and jump up, and then Frampton's occupied with Max King. So if Max King goes up, there's a chance that Frampton goes up. Howe fails to realise that his direct opponent in this case is Jack Higgins. So I would suggest Howe probably lets Darcy Moore a clean jump at the contest and stay down with someone who's really dangerous at ground level. Instead, they all go up, Higgins stays down, and that's an easy goal out the back for Jack Higgins. That's what he makes a living on. Here, Darcy Moore does really well to take that intercept mark, and then this hand pass is never really on. He doesn't take the time in this case to actually scan and see what's ahead of the player he's passing to, because Bradley Hill was oncoming, and that was just another simple turnover. You will see a bit more of Darcy Moore throughout this video. He had a tough game, and when I mean tough, he had an awful game. His judgment was off. It was just a very uncharacteristic game of him, and as long as these games continue in this way for a player like Darcy Moore, Collingwood are going to struggle to win games. And it's not just him. There's things happening further down the track before it gets down into his area. But we'll attack that as it comes. Next clip here, we'll see the difference between staying down and going up and what happens in this case between Howe and Darcy. So it can happen. Here, Jeremy Howe stays down, Darcy Moore gets a clean run at it and takes the clean intercept. So that's the difference. Really good intercept by Lipinski. I just wanted to include some of his intercepts throughout the game because his positioning was first class. And he did it on multiple occasions throughout the game. You can see how active he is on his toes, being ready to intercept, pointing fingers, and finds himself in a lucky position. When I say lucky, take that with a grain of salt, because it's not lucky, it's being at the right place at the right time. A lot of this throughout the game, a lot of kicking off the ground, players not willing to put their head over the ball and pick it up and get below their knees. It's a big problem for Collingwood right now. Jack Crisp, Daicos, side bottom, players like that, not actually willing to bend over and pick up the ball. So we'll see that a few more times throughout this review. Crisp fumbles. Sidey fumbles, runs into Markov. Henry's on his way. Okay, I think I know what I want to see here. So what I want you to focus on here is our midfield group, namely Jack Crisp, Daicos, and I think maybe a Nick Daicos here. So the contest exits out here. Jack Crisp still walking, Darcy Moore still walking. Mind you, the player who takes this mark, watch this. He's on the ground right now, okay? And then we've got Jack Crisp and Daicos, only 5-10 meters away, walking. Still walking. Players are getting dragged across, and then obviously leaves a space in the middle. And look at that. Jack Crisp and Jordan Daicos back there need to be busting their ass to cover this hole. It's really simple. It's a fundamental error, and it's unacceptable. And Collingwood will not win games if we're not doing these things. Somebody has to put their name on it. Yeah, we've really missed this as a Collingwood fan base. We've lost that run, the quick hand passes, not sticking tackles. and then they're out, really. Lipinski intercepts here again, just showing that his running capacity and his willingness to fill the gaps is quite evident throughout this game. Okay, so here we can see Nick Daicos has got his man there. Isn't really doing much to see what's going on here. He's more focused what's going on between here and here. And obviously leaves this player here. And they end up finding that. Darcy Cameron commits to the man on the mark. And I think this just goes, yep. Okay. So again, we'll rewind that back. Nick Daicos is there. Sort of passes him by. Doesn't really put his name on it. Sort of just lets him pass him by. Tries to fill this hole here. But this is already covered pretty reasonably well already. So as a midfielder on ball, Nick Daicos needs to be worried about this. Needs to open up his body and see what's happening here. A little head check. That looks like he's more looking like there. But by the time he's looking there, the play's gone. He's still sort of jogging. Darcy Cameron does a good job to put pressure on the ball, being the man on the mark. And then maybe we see Nick Daicos start to bust his guts and push down this way and show us some two-way running. This zone layer here is probably a little bit too aggressive and probably needs to come back a little bit. We've got players like Brad Hill, Windhager, who are busting their ass into the forward line for this next kick. And then we got here, Darcy Moore makes a judgment to try cut across the pack and intercept. Membry just holds here, sort of gambles on it. He knows he's free and then snaps it. So there are some moments of judgment where Darcy Moore just misses it, and then there's some where he's way off. This one, I would say he made his decision very early. Furthermore, what I want to emphasize even more than that is, and what observations I made out of this game is, he really doesn't have a stop button. He clearly has the license to go for every contest that he thinks he can win. But when your judgment is that off, there needs to come a moment in time where you just accept that your teammate can win this contest and you don't have to do it all the time. And that will develop a great sense of belief and accountability, and those players like Frampton or Howe or Maynard will relish with that responsibility and grow individually, not having to rely on and thinking, oh, is Darcy Moore coming across the pack to impact this contest? That's the game within the game. That's the thing. These are the things I'm thinking about. Another one here where I think Darcy Moore's just coming off his man for the sake of it. Now he's got a mismatch. I think that might be Membry again. So we've got Membry here. Darcy Moore's made a judgment to push on to Jack Higgins when Markov's sort of already around the zone. Markov would have taken the man on the mark, and then Darcy Moore could worry about the next most dangerous player, who's probably Membry in this sense. So some nice 1-2 movements, overlapping hand passes. Chris missed the target. Bit clumsy by both players. Chris doesn't want to pick it up again. So just a calamity of errors there. I think last year we were seeing those sequences rip through the middle. You'd know, like, if Collingwood were going through those overlapping hand passes through the middle, we were going to finish with a good kick going inside 50. We haven't seen that very much yet this season. So hopefully at some point that comes to fruition. But another concern is situations like this where Crisp is kicking the ball off the ground and not actually willing to put his head over the ball, and it ends up in a turnover. Two unstuck tackles. Quain does a really good job to intercept here. What I like even more than that is this is a quick lead by, I think it's Daicos. It was very short, so Quainor had to be very aware to the fact that Nick Daicos is making this lead, because it's very marginal. Like, if this lead is only on for a couple seconds, and he finds it. And Nick Daicos actually does a really good job and turns both players as soon as he marks it, but we'll see that again. So his eyes, the good thing is his eyes are here. And that's why he sees Daicos and makes that. So that's really good. And as I said, Nick Daicos turns, finds Schultze. I think off the back of this, Lipinski in great positioning again, another intercept possession. Put yourself in good, smart positions and work hard, and you will be rewarded like that, like Lipinski did. So this is very marginal. But this, when I say it's very marginal, like top tier footy is a game of margins, the smallest of margins, and it's another situation here where we've got Daicos and then we've got Millera, who absolutely tore up Collingwood all game long, is looking for this short 45 pass. St Kilda don't want to go long here. Like, nobody wants to go long from this position. So we need to be live to this threat that this inside 45 pass could open up a switch or something through the middle. I just think Daicos is just a little bit too slow here. I really do. He's sort of just treading along. And look at the difference between Daicos' effort and Darcy Cameron's effort here trying to stop this inside 45 pass. Watch them. One's sprinting and one sort of hasn't even switched out of first gear. And now we've got the most dangerous player with the ball in his hands. And that's a really good pass. So there's good zones, but then there's just great passes that beat good zones, and that's another situation. That's why you don't want Millera to get that easy inside 45 pass, which Daicos could have had more of an impact on if he wanted to win that ball. Darcy Moore was never getting there. So Markov's got okay position on Henry. He may or may not win the contest, and obviously we've got Darcy Moore worrying about Membry. At this point, I don't think this is landing anywhere longer than here. This is a short drop, so I don't think Darcy Moore's having any impact on this. So instead of trying to make an impact on a ball that ends up being a chest mark, which goes to show that the drop spot of the ball was nowhere near where Darcy Moore was attempting to impact, now we're going to see Tim Membry break away and get the next kick. Because Darcy Moore has to man the mark, because he overcommitted. Didn't back in Oleg Markov to do a job. There you go. Tim Membry finds the ball. This is a good example of our zone working really well. And it's thanks to players like Lipinski once again. Look at Lipinski. Look how switched on Lipinski is. He's putting his hand out. He knows this is a dangerous spot. And he sees it and he covers it. And now that pass isn't on. Tom Mitchell's sort of doing well there. Mychek cuts this off very well. And they have to go long. And then we get that intercept. That's an example of our zone working really well. We have moments here where Maynard burns a couple of short passes where we end up deciding to go long. Howie's on here. If Maynard can get his quick couple steps before he kicks the ball, that gets covered in the end. Tom Mitchell makes a really good short pass, short lead there. Doesn't get acknowledged. We're still on for a switch here if needed. Instead we go long. Gets hoofed up in the air. Hits the ground. I think this results in a goal, really. Howe doesn't stick the tackle. Now they're at the back. Millera, the most dangerous player with the ball in his hands. Membry goes long. Sidey spoils instead of intercepting. And that was a goal, obviously. We've got 3 players here. 1, 2, 3. And then we got Jack Higgins out the back. And in the end, no one runs back hard enough to track Jack Higgins. Can Frampton track this? Can Markov track this? The most dangerous player inside 50 for the game. Sort of just all ball watching, except for Jack Higgins. He's getting into prime position while Frampton and Markov are looking at the ball and not worrying about their opponents in this situation. Another Joe the Goose out the back. Daicos doesn't stick the tackle. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 players who want it more than 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a difference. They get their run going. Frampton steps up because he has to, because there's 3 players on 1. And then Howe gets caught up a little bit too high on Henry here, and Maxine gets the easy one out the back. Maybe he could position himself in more of a 50-50 position where he's in between King and Henry. Frampton has to step up. Maybe Crisp here sticks with Henry and Darcy Moore rolls over. Instead, Crisp decides to step up. I can understand that because you need to pressure the ball play here, but maybe Tom Mitchell can get over and Crisp can come back here instead. Maybe. And then I think Howie gambles right here as he notices this St Kilda player is about to kick the ball and he's not looking at the play anymore because he's now made his decision where he's going to kick it. Howie has gambled that it was going to go to Henry, which I wouldn't mind living with that kick out there. I'm more worried about this one, to be honest. So I would have held where Howie was here, so I could have an impact on this the king mark. So he gambles and then doesn't have a chance to impact. Okay, Membry has a shot on goal here. So what I want to talk about here, just quickly. Henry comes out. Crisp is applying decent pressure to keeping Henry to his left side on his left foot. And then Darcy Cameron on automatic just decides to push on and leave his man, Membry, open. So I disagree with that decision with Darcy Moore on this occasion. I back my player, my teammate Crisp to do enough of a job to force a rash decision or a rash disposal from Henry, and I focus on my player here. Lucky that wasn't a goal. Millera, another really good kick. Another really great kick into a zone. Not much you can do there. Okay, so this is just a bit of a low IQ play by Quaynor, in my opinion. Here he is in good position, marking this player here, because now he was guarding this inside 45 pass, but instead he's elected to go out wide, where maybe side bottom is in better position to do so. Either way, I still want that ball out here rather than coming in here. So Quaynor peels off his man to attack that width, whereas I would have encouraged Quaynor to stay where he is. Is it that? Owens, another great player, gets the ball, feeds it off their hands, and just good body work by Sharman. It leads to another goal. I think there's another situation where our run just gets cut short. A short hand pass, slows it down, side bottom, another uncharacteristic turnover. And then this is a case of just, do we want to step up and defend this area, or are we just going to let them walk through the midfield? Still walking, just waiting to see what happens here. And Miller gets the ball again, and lucky, well, not lucky because this happens. So we end up, while it seems harmless that we're sort of just waiting to see what St Kilda do here, by doing that, we allow their best player to have the ball again with the ball. Puts it in a dangerous enough position, forces Darcy Moore to make a decision. A bad hand pass by Howe and a bad free kick by side bottom. I'm going to have to be hypercritical in this situation again. As I say all the time, the game is one of the smallest of margins. And I think De Goey here can be on his front foot here, sort of leaning towards Marcus Winhager here. I don't think St Kilda want to go long straight away. And they show that all game. They don't want to go long down the line. They want this inside 45 pass. They want to switch the ball and look inside. And De Goey's body positioning is wrong here. He needs to have his hips facing this way to be ready to put pressure on Windhager. Maybe Elliott can drop a little bit here as well. But De Goey has the benefit of being behind Marcus Windhager and being able to see where he is. It's too late. And they get another easy inside 50, albeit shallow. It's another case where Darcy Moore doesn't back in someone like Frampton and tries to intercept from behind against someone who's 6'6", just as tall as Darcy Moore. Overruns it, overcommitted, and lucky again not to be another goal. Here's another situation where Darcy Moore tries to make an impact on this play when Braden Maynard has front position, so he doesn't need to come and assist Maynard. And Membry does the smart thing and actually impedes Moore's run at the ball anyways. And this ends up being it's a lucky goal, but something happen for the shot to actually eventuate. Some of the key points that I take out from observing this game is Darcy Moore needs to have more faith in his players. Now he might say, and everyone around him will say, he has great trust in the players, but just by those actions, those judgments to be, almost selfish and want to impact the play every single time, ends up, if you don't attack that ball and win it, it ends up being an easy guy at the back and doesn't give your player, your teammate, an opportunity to have an impact on that contest. So that's one thing. Our zone against a good kicking team in St Kilda was very lackluster. Jordan De Goey, Nick Daicos, players of those likes need to be more aware and tentative what's going around in those zones when they're trying to go for those inside passes into the midfield. And obviously clangers, not putting your head over the ball, just kicking the ball off the ground, trying to play soccer. So those are the key points that Collingwood will want to address next week against Brisbane at the Gabba. Not an easy task, so we'll see how it goes. If you did enjoy this video, please consider watching the game against Sydney, because all those points that I made note in that video are still relevant to what happened in this game. Thanks guys, bye.